What's up, everybody? It's been a while. I am so sorry. A lot has gone on the past 2-3 months, and but now I'm back. Moved back to school. I'm doing well in my apartment. Little new setup here. Let's just get into it. Where is Jesus in the Old Testament? I'm gonna go off of Romans 1:1-3, and it says, "Paul, a bondservant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle, separated to the gospel of God, which he promised before through his prophets in the Holy Scriptures concerning his Son, Jesus Christ our Lord." When it says separated to the gospel of God, which he promised, meaning God promised the gospel through his prophets in the Holy Scriptures. The gospel in Jesus is throughout the Old Testament. Just take a step back and you start to really look at the Bible and see what it's about. You can see the Bible in the Old Testament, Jesus is predicted. The Gospels, Jesus is revealed. The book of Acts, Jesus is preached. The Epistles, meaning the letters from Romans to Jude, Jesus is explained. In the book of Revelation, Jesus is expected to come again. The entire Bible is about Jesus. The entire Bible is about Jesus. So, where is Jesus in Genesis? Where's he at in Genesis? We're going to find out. A little background on Genesis. Genesis was written by Moses. Genesis was written, we know this is not my opinion, we know this was written between 1445 BC and 1405 BC. Genesis, meaning origin, the word Genesis means in the beginning or the origin, outlines the beginning of human history. In the beginning. The Bible, Genesis quite literally starts off by saying, in the beginning, God. So where is Jesus in Genesis? I'm going to take a look at the story of Abraham. So we have Abraham and Sarah. Abraham was married to Sarah, and Sarah could not have a child. God told Abraham in chapter 12, verse 2, "I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing." So God promised Abraham to be a great nation. From Abraham will be a great nation. And at the time that God had told him this, Abraham was 75 years old. God also told Abraham in chapter 13, verses 14-16, and the Lord said to Abram was his name originally, but for the sake of this, it's Abraham. Okay? It's just easier to understand. After the Lord told Abraham, after Lot had separated from him, "Lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see I give to you and your descendants forever. And I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if a man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered." Meaning, he's just confirming you are going to be a great nation. God is saying, Abraham, your descendants are going to be as many as the dust of the earth. And Abraham is still 75 at this point in time. Later on, Abraham was speaking with God, and basically he asks him, "Why haven't you given me a child yet? Where are my descendants at? Why I can't have descendants without a child," right? So in chapter 17, God is speaking with Abraham and told him again that Sarah is going to bear him a child. And Abraham laughed. He pretty much asked God, how in the world is this going to happen when I'm 100 years old and Sarah's 90? Like, how in the world is this going to happen? Pretty much Abraham was like, my Sarah? My Sarah is going to give a child? And God said, yes, your Sarah, your wife. And at this point, Sarah's 90 years old. She's past being able to bear a child. But, of course, the Lord said it, so it happened. Sarah became pregnant. And thus, Isaac was born. When Isaac was older, God tested Abraham. It was a test of his faith. In verse 22, 1 through 2, it says, "Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, 'Abraham.' And he said, 'Here I am.' Then he said, 'Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you.'" God said, "Abraham, go sacrifice your son." Now, he didn't say this is a test of your faith. God said, "Abraham, go sacrifice your son." At that point in time, if I was a dad, I would have been like, what the heck? You told me you told me that I was supposed to have many descendants, as many as the sand on the seashore, and now you want me to go sacrifice my son. Like, something, it's not adding up here. But again, it was a test of his faith. Just think, if you were waiting for something that God has promised you for this long, and then he goes and tells you to sacrifice it, what could be possibly going through your head? But Abraham obeyed. Abraham obeyed God immediately. In verse 3, it says, "So Abraham arose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son." And they made their way to the mountain of which God told them. Now, when Abraham and Isaac arrived at the top of the mountain where Isaac was supposed to be sacrificed, it says just at the right time before Isaac was to be sacrificed, it says in verse 11, in Genesis chapter 22, verses 11 through 13. Let me turn there real quick. "But the angel of the Lord called to him," Abraham, "from heaven and said, 'Abraham, Abraham.' So he said, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'Do not lay your hand on the young man or do anything to him.'" Or it says, "Do not lay your hand on the lad or do anything to him, for I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. So caught in a bush by its horns. So they're saying, "Brendan, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this? Where's Jesus?" The point I'm trying to make is Jesus is our ram. Jesus is our ram. What the ram was for Isaac and Abraham, Jesus is for us. Jesus was a sacrifice instead of us. Jesus is our substitutionary sacrifice. So one thing I should say earlier in chapter 22 of Genesis, in verse 6, it says, "So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac his son." So he put it on his back pretty much to carry up the mountain. "And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the two of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, 'My father.' And he said, 'Here I am, my son.' Then he said, 'Look, the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for a burnt offering? Where's the sacrifice at?' And Abraham said," in verse 8, "And Abraham said, 'My son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering.'" God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. Jesus is our ram. God will provide himself the lamb. God was trying to convey to Abraham that God pretty much was saying to Abraham, this is a test of faith. My son is going to be the sacrifice. My son will be the sacrifice. Jesus is our ram. Jesus died instead of us. Jesus died instead of us on the cross. Now, on the cross, Jesus had 3 very unusual words before he passed, before he died. Jesus said, "It is finished," which means the debt is paid. The debt has been paid. Jesus died for the world's sin. Jesus is the world's ram. Jesus is our ram. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Jesus is our ram in Genesis.